Hey, Magic Weaver. Welcome back to the Weaving Magick Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Lilly.
And I'm Tara Webb, and today, it's funny, as the countdown was going, the countdown felt really long, and the song I have playing in my head has nothing to do with Weaving Magick, but it's just playing in my head. It's
What song is it?
It's the new Mickey Mouse Funhouse I was telling you about.
We've been watching that. It's also stuck in my head.
And so it's like, as the countdown's going, it's like, come on, let's go!
Yep.
And so I just have it playing in my head as you're starting to get ready to count down. I couldn't help but laugh.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. And then today we're going to go over a really fun topic. We're going to talk about Samhain. And I know it seems like it's late, but it's not, because we're going to celebrate on November 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about why. So if you're listening to this episode, you'll have a week until a little less than maybe 6 days to celebrate Samhain with us on the 13th. And of course, we always love to extend spooky season. So
yeah, and I feel like Samhain gets I won't say bad rep, but in the sense of it gets lumped in with All Hallows Eve / Halloween / Dia
De los Muertos.
What? Yeah, I just can't. I can see it, but
it's
can't
a hard
say
one.
Or reverse. Yeah, but Day of the Dead essentially. It just gets all lumped in together, and I love October. It feels very witchy, which is awesome, but I never feel like doing Samhain on the 31st.
Mm-mm.
I just feel like there's so much commercialism going on for witchy things and for Halloween and all of that. Samhain is supposed to be the middle point between summer solstice and winter solstice.
Mm-hmm.
And so technically, yeah, the 31st fits in that sense of like a Gregorian calendar. But I think, a lot of us just feel like energetically it doesn't fit with the days. Because even Yule, because let's separate them real quick. Yule is Norse. Samhain is Celtic.
Yep.
So our wheel of the year that a lot of pagans follow, a lot of witches follow, is actually just a combination from different
cultures.
Yeah.
Traditions, beliefs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you look at Asturu, I don't know how to say that, but the Norse mythology, those who honor the Norse gods, and then if you look over at Celtic mythology, Celtic beliefs, they have extra holidays that have been taken out that don't fit into the wheel of the year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A lot of extra ones for Norse, because there are so many depending on which actual way you follow stuff. It's very fascinating. Mm-hmm. And same thing for the Celtic. We follow this amazing shaman on Instagram that we will we'll share. I share a lot of her videos on our Instagram page, but she's writing a book called it's something Cauldron. I don't remember what it's called.
I don't either, but I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it comes out in January. And she is a Celtic shaman who actually talks about how a lot of our dates and a lot of the things that we are learning or have been taught are based on the Gregorian calendar. And so you can't really... You can use those days, but it doesn't feel as authentic to your soul, at least not for me.
Same. And it also explains, we've talked about this on the podcast before, New Year's never feels aligned because that's not the time. It doesn't feel right. And so when we can feel in our bodies when we're trying to celebrate the seasons and the changes like we are, when it's not right, I feel like you just know in your body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Very much so. So I feel like this gives us a chance to actually dive into Samhain, make it something special, because now I can look at Halloween as something my kids enjoy doing, dressing up, and maybe look at the historical significance of people dressing for All Hallows Eve, and that being one thing, right? That being more of a, they used to wear clothes backwards so that the fairies wouldn't know they were coming or where they were going.
Yeah.
So that, that kind of stuff. That's super fun. And looking at that aspect of it, instead now, because Samhain feels like a combination, right, of Day of the Dead and All Hallows Eve.
It really does.
Because you're honoring your ancestors. You're putting some candles out. You're also connecting with that energy of the duality once again between the light and the
Also
dark.
connecting, with the dead, essentially, because the
Mhm.
veil is so thin.
Which she actually says that the veil is thinning is a more modern idea, that while
Fascinating.
it's true in like the sense of what you're feeling, the veil thinning phrase is more modern.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No.
I got a lot of learning to do. I can't wait to
I do
read her
too.
book.
I do too. She actually
Oh,
has an apprenticeship.
I don't want to forget. I want you to tell everyone about Switch Witch and what you're doing with your kids for
Oh yeah.
Halloween.
And we'll actually go more into this in another episode where we talk about what we're actually going to start doing for our like our holidays, Alyssa and I, and how we're going to find tradition ourselves.
Creating our own traditions.
Yeah, because I feel like we're, at least for me, I'm still influenced by what I did as a child, or like the things I was taught as a child, and I haven't been able to really hone in on like what
It
we
needs
want
to
to
be
do.
something old and rooted,
Yes,
and we need to
and also
follow
that
it.
it has to be exactly what the past was, in the sense of
Yep.
like, you know, Samhain, it has to be on the 31st because that's what it was, and you know, and so Switch Witch is really fun because we're not really big into a lot of candy. One, candy's fine, but like we don't obviously gorge ourselves. And then two, we do prefer to have a more natural version of candies. Not that my kids don't eat like regular gummies and stuff like that every now and then. It's not a big deal because we're not.
But just there's so much glutton. Like, here's all the candy.
Yes.
Like, it's
Well,
wild.
and also it's I've learned that a lot because I used to be crunchy. Have you heard that term, Alyssa? Crunchy.
In what context? I mean, food can
In
be
health.
crunchy.
In health.
No.
Yeah, so there's a huge thing. I don't know if you knew about it whenever, because it was like the start of my journey as like a quote unquote crunchy mom, and it's a huge thing.
You're a crunchy mom?
Yeah, like it's a huge culture to where you're crunchy. So like, and you can see there are some people who do like TikTok and reels about them. They're so funny. Well, you know, we didn't get vaccinated, and you know, he just has this wonderful thing, but make sure you don't eat those dyes because they're going to affect into autism, and like what else is there? He can't have that food. It's going to cause him to jump off the roof because he's just so hyper. And make sure that, you know, that we only baby wear because it's the best, and we do baby led weaning because that's better for them as well, because you can't, like, it's just all of these specific things, right?
And my brain still isn't like processing, because I do some of the, am I a crunchy? I don't think I'm a crunchy.
Exactly. I'm keep hitting this new microphone. I'm like touching right here. So sorry guys if you're hearing like a and
it's not bad.
No, but like I used to be the crunchy, not in the sense of I followed everything, but that's what I thought, because it's once again the idea of purity culture. You have to be all of these things. And I didn't connect it to my head until my brain until recently. Because I'm not all those things anymore. I never really was. I just still like I had to have a label because I didn't understand it. So the idea of a crunchy mom is like, for Halloween, you definitely don't have these sweets, right? You get them the healthy sweets, which is fine too. The healthy sweets are also good, but I wanted to do it in a way where the kids aren't. Because I mean, in the past, I was one of those people that was like, yeah, that's bad food. And in reality, no food is bad. Is some not as good for you? Yes, correct. Especially in the U.S. because
will you feel the consequences of it later?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because our food has been tampered with in the U.S. a lot, but that's also not something you can get around. Almost every bit of food has been tampered with in the U.S. So it's not like, you know, by not eating entirely organic, vegan, whatever, are you all of a sudden,
no matter how strict you are, your food is tampered. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Switch Witch was a fun way because me being a witch, and this is the second year my kids have actually celebrated Halloween. Side note, they were Mario and Luigi and Flying Squirrel, and then Ari was a Yoshi, and
Cal was a turtle.
Well, the little backpack that came from Yoshi, Ari didn't want to wear, so I put it on Cal, so it looked like a Koopa Troopa.
Oh,
it was.
I just thought he was one of the turtles that like walks around all the time.
Yeah, and so technically he was. It's just that it came from Yoshi's like backpack, and Elias didn't really fit it, but he also kind of did, because you know the little acorn that you can turn, the leaf or whatever, you can turn into a and it's funny because Link for Alyssa was Mario, and then what was Aurora? Baby Shark? Yeah, Baby Shark.
Although really she's been wearing the Mario costume a lot more than Lincoln has. It's so cute.
So that was fun. So side, like huge derailment. Switch Witch.
Gotta
Switch
talk
Witch is
about
a
Halloween and our
fundraiser.
kids dressing up
We
first.
do. Next year I'm actually going to dress up and be more active with that. I didn't want to because I didn't feel like I could really fit into like what I wanted to do with it. And so
Well,
next
and I
year I'm
also just
excited.
honestly, I didn't have the mental capacity this year.
No.
I really didn't. I would like to plan for next year to do like a
Yes.
family dress up kind
And
of
that's
thing.
what, not our next episode, because our next episode should be an interview, and then the one after that is when we're talking about traditions. And we'll go into about, really planning ahead more so because we'll have an idea of what we're wanting to do. But Switch Witch is awesome.
Back to Switch Witch.
It was also something I wanted to do and then forgot about. And then day of Halloween, I was like, oh, frick, I need to do this. So what it is for those who don't want to give their kids candy, like the quote unquote bad candy, if you see it that way. 2, their kids can't have the candy if they're gluten free, if for like Dominic and possibly for Link as well. Dyes really affect kids like that. Actually, they affect all kids, but you really notice it with ADHD and autism and those kinds of things. So if you don't want to do it that as well, and also if you don't want to just have a huge like gorging yourself session too. So what you do is, and we do it differently, but I'll tell you what the original Switch Witch is. Switch Witch is where you put the candy out on the porch, and the Switch Witch comes overnight and switches the candy into either healthy snacks, things that are like actually healthy candy too, right? Or toys. We do it where the kids got like 6 pieces of candy that they really, really wanted to eat. Like the ones that they really liked and wanted to try, and whatever. And if they didn't like it, they could throw it away and get one they did like. It wasn't like a strict thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put their candy in their lunch boxes out on the porch. And I got their lunch boxes, put them up, and then put out their Switch Witch stuff on the benches. And Dom knew I was Switch Witch. It was hilarious because he just kind of, he's 10, he figures it out. They all went to Target with me to get the stuff too, and so he knew what it was for, but also like, I don't know. I was trying to hide it, but didn't do very well. Thomas was genuinely worried about life. And he was like, Mom, what if the Switch Witch doesn't come? Like, how will she know? And I was like, Thomas, do you really want to know? And he's like, yeah, I don't, what if she just doesn't come? Because I kept saying she's going to come, right? And I was like, Thomas, I'm the Switch Witch. And he was like, oh. And I was like, did you not want to know? And he's like, well, I don't know. I kind of didn't, but also, it still makes it fun. And I was like, just so you know, Switch Witches are moms and dads and parents who take on this role. So, I'm not the only one. We go and take care of all of our kids, and we switch it up. So I found out about being Switch Witch this year, and it's something that I have started doing, that I am embodying. So like he sees it as a magical thing, right? It's not, there's not Switch Witch for everybody.
Just because they know it doesn't have to kill the magic.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it more magical too. And so he's like, oh, I can be a Switch Witch whenever I get older. And I was like, yeah, you can. And Dom's like, you can be a wizard. I was like, no, it's fine. Witch is fine.
It's funny.
And I'll share a picture of what our like little thing looked like. It's just fun. The kids enjoyed it. I let them eat all of their candy that they got from the Switch Witch that morning. I slightly regret it, but it's okay because it was a mess. There's a lot of energy. There was a lot of stuff. It wasn't bad, but it was just like out of 4 of them.
It's wild how each kid responds so differently to it.
Yeah, and also I let Ori do it, but Ori is also sneaky, and so he would take like other people's lollipops or like go find a lollipop somewhere else, and he'd be like, "Mom, lollipop," and I'm like, "No, Ori," and he's just like sucking on it, and oh, I have someone coming to visit me.
Sorry, Cliff is getting really upset.
Does Dad know you're bringing him to me?
Yes, I should get him.
Okay.
I didn't know it.
All right, so I have Callisto now, who's apparently really upset. But yeah, so Switch Witch is just meant to be a fun way to kind of embody the season while also I don't know, seeing it more in a healthy way and teaching your kids a healthy way of doing it too. Because I feel like allowing them to have all of that candy, which it wasn't a lot. They had each 2 lollipops, a bag of popcorn, and 2 packs of gummies.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been it.
Maybe our kids got so much candy. We're trying to, because I didn't do the Switch Witch thing this year. It's my plan for next year, but we're trying to do a thing where they get a couple pieces a day versus like, I don't know, this whole thing on Halloween where you sit and just gorge on candy and then feel miserable the next day is not my jam.
Side note, people, I'm also using my phone, so like I'm gonna nurse Cal real quick. Let's like see something different. It's fine. This is fine.
We get to show up as we are on our podcast. Welcome to the
real
inner circle.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I think it's something we'll definitely continue, and I'm excited to talk next time about like our own traditions that we're changing up and stuff. But as far as Samhain, I just feel like we get to make it a bit more witchy and let it stand on its own.
Mm-hmm. It needs to be severed from the commercialized Halloween.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I feel like it gives you a chance to like regroup your energy, because I've had a weird like energetic feeling lately. I'm not really feeling like myself, and that means in the sense of like I just like when you look in the mirror, you just feel like, who is this person? It feels like your soul can feel that it's in a body, and it feels weird. That's how I'm kind of feeling at the moment.
It's so funny that you said that, because the past like 2 weeks, I was trying to explain this to Sean, and I didn't know how to put it into words other than I would like a vacation from my body. Like, I'm tired of having a body. Just in this moment, I would like to not have one. And it's not even pain related. Like, yes, I have lots of aches and pains, but it's just like my body feels heavy and I just don't want to carry it anymore.
I mean, the best thing to do would be to go into like an immersion tube or something, right? To where you would feel so weightless.
Oh my gosh, they closed down.
Oh.
I go to this place. I used to go once a week. This place, it's called A Place to Float, and it's a sensory deprivation tank that has like the Epsom salt water. And I've been doing it for pain management. And I was supposed to have an appointment Friday, whatever day. And that day I got an email that they were closing effective immediately.
Wow.
It's like,
do you know why?
No, I think it was the email pretty much said, they had to choose between not paying their employees or closing the doors or something like that, or like mistreating the way that they're paying their employees because they didn't have the money. So it was like,
oh, well, that's sad.
What do you do? Yeah.
But I would say for your body, for anyone who's able to find something like that,
it's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best way to have the idea of like your soul taking a break from your body, because you're not really feeling anything. Your soul can just kind of exist, and your mind. But in some ways, I feel like your mind can relax a bit more.
It does take a little bit of a commitment, because your body has to get used to being able to completely let go in water, because it holds you up. But it is the best sleep and restoration I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet. Like, and you were able to sleep better afterwards too?
Yep. The only downside was when I accidentally flung myself awake in the tube and put my face in the water. And so like I had Epsom salt water all over my face. It was disgusting, but Anyway, Samhain.
That's funny. Yeah, so listen, what do you think you might try to do? Since now that we have like more time to plan and more ideas, but also there's still a lot going on. Like, that hasn't changed. There's still a lot going on, and we don't want to overburden ourselves.
So I think for Samhain, and this is something that we did last year, but I definitely want to be more intentional about it, of doing, I don't know, a family dinner where we actually sit at the table and talk about our loved ones that have passed and memories with them. So for example, my father-in-law has passed away, and he passed away before Aurora came around. And so the way that we could keep him alive is by talking about it. And I know it's kind of, it's not super recent, but it's recent enough. It's still kind of it's always going to be a soft spot for all of us. Let's be real. But it'll be nice to have intentional time where like we're going to talk about all of the memories and look at pictures of him and keep him alive. And I can talk about my grandma that raised me, that I really loved, that passed away when I was 9, and keep her memory alive. So I think for me it is a lot about keeping their memory alive as our kids get older. because they won't ever get to know them,
Yeah. I think what we'll end up doing is sharing a carousel for y'all on Instagram that will help with asking questions that you can answer as an adult, and also can ask with your kids too, so they can kind of understand. So, like, if we're going to talk about grandparents, like, what's your favorite thing about your grandparents, or that you did with your grandparents, and that can help you as an adult think back to, like, maybe if your grandparents aren't alive anymore, because mine aren't. This is what we did, and here's stories about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the kids learn those stories while also being able to bring in their own, right? Well, I'm doing this with my grandmother, and I loved this. And so it allows them to kind of understand that connection without, because sometimes when we talk about ancestors or past, that kind of stuff, if they haven't met them, there's almost like a
disconnect.
There is, very much, because they just don't quite understand that feeling. And so I think this will be a good way to help bridge that gap for them, and also help us, because we feel like sometimes if you just kind of go in without any prep on questions, I feel like I don't know what to say sometimes. So we'll make a list of questions for y'all that you can use if you want to use for your Samhain, so you can so all of us can kind of have a better idea of how to go about this. But I love the idea of bringing up the past with your kids, and
talking about it.
Members.
Although I will say Aurora has a beautiful connection with her papaw that she's never met, the one who's passed away, because she literally will walk around the house sometimes, be like, I'm playing with papaw, and start talking about him like she knows him. And when she sees pictures, she recognizes him. And I'm just like, aw, you guys have such a sweet relationship. I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen. And she knows the cardinal is his bird, so every time she sees a cardinal, she's like, Papaw's here, and it's so cute.
I mean, that's just the image of a kid being able to tap into their own magic without somebody stopping them. Like, oh no, he's dead. That you can't see. It's like, no, you actually are able to connect with the energy of that, the ancestors of that, and that's beautiful.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing, like, for Samhain, I would love to tap into. Like, how do we nourish these gifts and give them traditions and lessons and growth? So even, as they get older, just, we can light a candle for each of them and take a moment to pause and connect with them. And I think it'll be beautiful.
So let's also think of other ways that we can do, or other things that we can do for Samhain, because that's very reminiscent of, Day of the Dead.
Yes, it is.
And I love it. Something else that might be a good Samhain way of connecting with nature. My neighbor down the road, she wants to do a bonfire. And that is, I feel like fire is just in like every celebration. It's
fire. What do you mean? Of course it is.
It just feels like the best way to celebrate something.
I mean, Celtic traditions are all usually fire-centered, fire festivals.
Yeah, so we'll do something fire-wise. I don't know what else with that. But I do want to make I know this could be technically for any season, and we definitely do it for Yule, but I want to do what's it called? A simmer pot.
I'm sorry?
A simmer pot.
Simmer pot. You said it really fast and it melted into one word in my brain.
Like a simmer pot, it melted.
Yeah. No pun intended. No, I think a simmer pot is it's really great for any time of the year.
Yeah, and I feel like I tend to go light candles more, and right now I'm just like, a simmer pot would be better,
Yeah.
It would just, I have all these extra things that left over that I could just pop in and use. So actually, I might go do that today. We'll see.
Yeah, and I feel like you could also use Samhain as a really great way to, how can I prepare myself for the cold winter that's coming? And I
had an idea of ways to like really get the kids involved in this kind of stuff, because the Switch Witch for Halloween. And so for this, I was thinking about something for Yule, but for this I want to have like little goodie bags for them for different things. And for this one, each of their goodie bags could be items that they can put in our simmer pot.
Ooh.
Right?
You could also do like hot cocoa bombs or something too.
See, I was
Although
thinking
that
of
might
that
be
one
more
for Yule. I was thinking that one for Yule, of doing something where they can make hot cocoa bombs or
you could do a simmer pot for Samhain, and we're creating these traditions as we go on this podcast.
Yeah.
We have not prepped or talked about this, but we could also do apple cider, where you put the cloves in the apples and slice them and make it a fun family thing. I know Aurora is really big into cooking and making things right now. She's a little kitchen witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So a simmer pot, and I think also a fun way to. Well, I
love his little coos while he's eating. Is he eating?
No, he's just
making. Aw.
Mm-hmm. It's like starting to look at ways to decorate for the transition, but that could be more of our other podcast episodes coming out.
Oh yeah,
because I feel like we can talk about during Samhain of like kind of what we're wanting, to do, right? Like looking at the next one and enjoying that with the family. I don't know what else we could do, but I feel like it's. Goodness, I feel like it's.
So, I mean, I feel like it's also a really good time. I feel like because we're entering such a cold hibernation phase, that this is a really good time to create intentional time with those in your inner circle. So like next week, I don't think it's on the 13th, but it's close to, a few friends, adults friends are all going to get together, and we're going to do some. I got distracted.
Hey,
you want to come say hi? Look, we have Mario.
It's the baby episode.
Yes, it is the baby episode. I forgot what I was talking about now.
Friends getting together.
Oh yes, we're doing we'll have the fire on. We're gonna do a reading. Like we're all gonna get together and just read books or knit or craft and just hang out.
Yeah, I love that. I want to make gifts for that's like crocheting socks or whatever. I also see there's something I keep seeing, and we're getting older. Dom's older to do it. That Christmas Eve, I think it's in Norway. They actually give books as Christmas Eve presents, and then everybody goes and reads their books.
I love that.
Right? Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to add that to like our Christmas Eve tradition because Thomas and Dominic are getting into that. Dom is reading a lot more, but Thomas has started listening to stories. But that's fun too. No, I love the idea of crafting and just kind of sitting there. And I wish we had a fireplace, but that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we're gonna do a couple different soups, and we'll probably have apple cider and all the things. And and that's what I'm saying is like you're bringing the warmth in to hold you through this really cold season. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a very still winter too.
You know what I actually want to do now that you said soup? Because I was thinking about soup after you said it. But what I might try to do is make a soup that is for my family, for my Cajun side of the family.
Ooh.
Because my mom typically can make etouffee. So there's etouffee, gumbo, and jambalaya.
And sounds like death for me, but amazing.
Well, but it's not though. It's just because you don't have to have the spices in it. Everybody thinks
send me
Cajun
some of them.
Food, yeah, everybody thinks Cajun food has to be spicy, and it just has to have spices. And for the instance of like Alyssa, the main thing is taking out paprika, and any of the spicy stuff I wouldn't be adding it for my dad anyways because he doesn't like spicy. So so I might. My kids are very specific lately. They don't like shrimp, which is typically an etouffee, but I could also maybe get crab meat or something else to put in there. I might make like a family, not tradition, a family recipe or something like that. Something that honors my ancestors. And that's another way that you can really connect with them while also being in that like fallish spirit because it's warm, soupy foods.
I know. I kind of want to think through because I don't have any any recipes from ancestors or anything, but I think it would be cool to come up with, and if I come up with it, I'll share it with you guys on our Instagram. but I would love to do a recipe that's like Samhain, like a Samhain soup that I specifically make for Samhain. It will probably be something with potatoes.
You could kind of do like the stone soup. Have you read that book?
Mm-mm.
Oh, the kids would love that book. It's a really fun one. It's called Stone Soup, and it's about these soldiers who are coming back from a war. It doesn't say from what area it is. Coming back from a war, and they go to this village, and the villagers don't want to share anything with them. And so they're like, yeah, we understand. You know, you don't want to share your, like, they say that they can't share, that they don't have the means to because they have to provide for themselves, right? And so they're like, okay, well, we'll just make stone soup for you. And so the villagers are like, oh, what's stone soup? And they will, I'm going to lay Count on his stomach real quick. They get this huge huge cauldron, essentially. It's like a massive pot. And they put rocks in it with water. And then the soldiers are like, oh, you know what would be really good in this? To make the stone soup even better, potatoes would be great. But we don't have those. And someone's like, yeah, I may have a few potatoes I can spare. And so they go through the line of like, oh, you know what would also be really good? Here's some carrots. And, you know,
I have read this book. It's been a long time.
And
but
so like, they're constantly saying like, oh, but this would be really good to add to it. And this would be fit to the, you know, to feed the king if we did this and this and this. And so basically they're making stone soup. I have quotes in my fingers, quote unquote, stone soup out of stones. But they add in all these ingredients and the villagers don't realize it. And so they have all these dried meats afterwards and mead. And they have this massive, like...
It's very community. Yeah.
Yes. All out of stone soup. And the villagers don't seem to catch on that they were the ones who provided it. But they're like, oh yeah, we're so thankful that they taught us how to make stone soup. In reality, it's just that they shared their things. They shared their food with each other. So you could do a version of stone soup, you know, read it and make that with the kids, but also, you know, add in your own things that you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I could set up the bottom shelves at the pantry. Be like, what do you think we should add? And it would be cute. Yeah.
They could do either sweet potatoes or regular potatoes or
all of them.
And I mean, like, it could just be, yeah, it's a really fun way. I might do that instead of etouffee. I'll make one.
And for those listening who don't have kids, you can do that with your friends. Everybody brings an ingredient for stew, and you see what happens. Mm-hmm. Could be interesting.
That would be very interesting. I like that. Well, yeah. So basically, Samhain, as with a lot of other holidays, you get to choose how you celebrate it, when you celebrate it. It doesn't have to be based off certain days of the one Gregorian calendar or two any other calendar, really. It can just be kind of like what you're feeling. And if, you know, your energy isn't connecting to a certain time, find out when your energy connects with the season, with the holiday that you're wanting to celebrate, and just do it then, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing we say with spell work. It doesn't need to be this clinical, clean, straight by the book type of celebration. Make it what do you see doing repetitively, bringing you joy each time you come back to this season, and create that for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And what I think is really cool is, so my husband's been sending me little memes via text because he gets on Facebook, and I have a Facebook account, but I don't really use it. So I don't get on Facebook to see it. And I see Instagram reels, and, you know, I can't really share them with him. But he shares memes with me that have to do with, like, witchy stuff. And the recent one he shared with me, one before that was about Medusa, and that was freaking cool that he saw it and shared it. I already knew it, but the fact that, you know, your husband sees something and is sharing it, and he started to think about it. So the one about Medusa was the idea that Medusa wasn't this evil monster. You know, she was more of a victim, which we know. So it's good for him to see. Yeah. And then this one was about, that said every year should have 13 months because every month will have 28 days. And he went through this whole thing, and I was like, yeah, exactly. And so what I really like about the idea of Samhain, I almost got stuck on a train just now mentally of like, where am I tying this in? I found it. It's good. We're cool.
We got there.
Is that Samhain is technically around, we'll say though, exactly for us, November 13th. And what do we know about the 13th is that it's technically like the goddess number. It's the witchy, quote unquote, evil 13. Number. Yeah, because there actually used to be 13 months in the year. And, you know, Friday 13th is seen as this awful thing. And so for November 13th, that's more of a witchy, fun way to connect. The number just feels better. I don't know. It feels, which is funny. It's the reverse of 31. So, you know, you can kind of figure out what you want to do about that. But I like the fact that it's the 13th. 13 is just a fun number.
I agree.
Yeah. So our challenge is to find a holiday that really means a lot to you and choose, you know, when you want to celebrate it, what you want to do with it.
What traditions you want to create.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, like I said, it's going to be similar tying into our next episode that talks about traditions, but specifically if, you know, with Samhain or with Halloween or the ones that are coming up right now, if it doesn't make sense but it feels right to you, just do it.
Just do it.